Do let me know if you see the screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. Shri Naraduvacha evam mritah shatadhritir hiranyakashipor atha pradhat tat tapasa prito varamstasya suddurlabhan. Narad Muni continued. Lord Brahma was very much satisfied by Hiranyakashipu's austerities, which were difficult to perform. Therefore, when solicited for benedictions, he indeed granted them, although they were rarely to be achieved. Shri Brahmavacha tate me durlabha pumsam yan vrishe varan mama tathapi vitarami anga varan yadhyapi durlabhan. Lord Brahma said, O Hiranyakashipu, these benedictions for which you have asked are difficult to obtain for most men. Nonetheless, O my son, I shall grant you them, although they are generally not available. Tato jagama bhagavan amoganugraha vibhuh pujito suravaryena stuyamana prajeshwaraihi. Then Lord Brahma, who awards infallible benedictions, departed, being worshipped by the best of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, and was being praised by great sages and saintly persons. Evam ladbhavaro daityo bibhrad dema mayam vapuhom bhagavati akarodvesham bhratur vadam anusmaran. The demon Hiranyakashipu, having thus being blessed by Lord Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continued to remember the death of his brother and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu. Sa vijitya disha sarva lokamscha trin mahasuraha devasura manushendra gandharva garudo ragan siddhachanar vidyadharan nrishin pitrapatin manun yaksha raksha pisacheshan preta bhuta patin api sarvasatva patin chitva visham aniya vishvajit jahara lokapalanam sthanani sah tejasa. Hiranyakashipu became the conqueror of the entire universe. Indeed, that great demon conquered all the planets in the three worlds, upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of the human beings, the Gandharvas, the Garudas, the great serpents, the Siddhas, Chanaras, and Vidyadharas, the great saints, Yamaraj, the Manus, the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the Pisachas and their masters, and the masters of the ghosts and Bhutas. He defeated the rulers of all other planets where there are living entities and brought them under his control. Conquering the abodes of all, he seized their power and influence. देवोऽध्यान् श्रियाजुष्टम् अध्यास्ते स्म पिष्टपं महेन्द्रभवनं साक्षान् निर्मितं विश्वकर्मणा त्रैलोक्यलक्ष्मी आयतनम् अध्योवासाखिल अर्धि अर्धिमित अर्धिमत sorry. Hiranyakashipu, who possessed all opulence, began residing in heaven, which with its famous Nandana garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by the demigod architect Vishwakarma and was as beautifully made as if the goddess of fortune of the entire universe resided there. यत्र विद्रुमसोपान महामारकट भुवः यत्र स्फटिक कुण्ड्यानि वैढूर्य स्तंभ पंक्तया यत्र चित्रवितानानि पद्मरागासनानि च पयफेन निभासय्य मुक्ताधाम परिच्छदाः पूजब्धिर् पूजब्धिर्नूपुरैर्देव्या शब्दयन्त्या इतस्तता रत्नस्थलीषु पश्यन्ति सुदति सुन्दरं मुखम् तस्मिन् महेन्द्र भवने महाबलो महामना निर्जितलोक एकराट् रेमे भिवन् भिवन् sorry, Reme Abhivandhyangri Yugma Suradibhihe Pratapitair Urjita Chanda Shashanayah. The steps of King Indra's residence were made of coral. The floor was bedecked with invaluable emeralds. The walls were of crystal and the columns of Vaidhurya stone. The wonderful canopies were beautifully decorated. The seats were bedecked with rubies, and the silk bedding, as white as foam, was decorated with pearls. The ladies of the palace, who were blessed with beautiful teeth and the most wonderfully beautiful faces, walked here and there in the palace, their ankle bells tinkling melodiously, and saw their own beautiful reflections in the gems. The demigods, however, being very much oppressed, had to bow down and offer obeisances at the feet of Hiranyakashipu, who chastised the demigods very severely and for no reason. Thus, Hiranyakashipu lived in the palace and severely ruled everyone. Tamangamatta madhunoru gandhina vivrutta tamraksham asesha dishnapaha upasatopayana panibhirvina tribhistapo yoga balauja sampadam. O my dear king, Hiranyakashipu was always drunk on strong smelling wine and liquors, and therefore his coppery eyes were always rolling. Nonetheless, because he had powerfully executed great austerities in mystic yoga, although he was abominable, all but the three principal demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, personally worshipped him to please him by bringing him various presentations with their own hands. जगुर्महेन्द्रासनम् ओजसा स्थितं विश्वावसु तुम्बुरुर् अस्मद् आदयः गन्धर्वसिद्धा ऋषयास्तुवन् विद्याधराश्चाप्सरश्च पाण्डवा. O Maharaj Yudhishthira, descendant of Pandu, by dint of his personal power, Hiranyakashipu, being situated on the throne of King Indra, controlled the inhabitants of all the other planets. The two Gandharvas, Vishwa, Vasu, and Tumburu, I myself and the Vidyadharas, Apsaras, and sages all offered prayers to him again and again, just to glorify him. स एव वर्णाश्रमिभिः क्रतुभिर्भूरि दक्षिणैः युज्यमानो हविर्भागान् अग्रहीत् स्वेन तेजसा. Being worshipped by sacrifices offered with great gifts by those who strictly followed the principles of Varna and Ashrama, Hiranyakashipu, instead of offering shares of the oblations to the demigods, accepted them himself. अकृष्टपच्या तस्यासीत् सप्तद्वीपवती मही तथा कामदुघा गावो नानाश्चर्य नानाश्चर्यपदं नभः. As if in fear of Hiranyakashipu, the planet Earth, which consists of 7 islands, delivered food grains without being plowed. Thus it resembled cows like the Shurabhi of the spiritual world or the Kama Dugha of heaven. The earth yielded sufficient food grains, the cows supplied abundant milk, and outer space was beautifully decorated with wonderful phenomena. Ratnakarascha Ratnaugams Tat Patnyaschohur Urmibihi Ksharasiddho Grutha Kshaudra Dadik Kshiramratodakaha. Kajala magistayu. Bolon. By the flowing of their waves, the various oceans of the universe, along with their tributaries, the rivers, which are compared to their wives, supplied various kinds of gems and jewels for Hiranyakashipu's use. These oceans were the oceans of salt water, juice, sugarcane juice, wine, clarified butter, milk, yogurt, and sweet water. Shaila dronibhir akridam sarva सर्वर्तुषु गुणान्द्रुमाः दधार लोकपालानाम् एक एव प्रत्यग्गुणान्. The valleys between the mountains became fields of pleasure for Hiranyakashipu. Rendamai. Rendanai. The qualities of pure pouring water, drying and burning, which are all qualities of the three departmental heads of the universe, namely Indra, Vayu, and Agni, were all directed by Hiranyakashipu alone, without assistance from the demigods. स इत्थं निर्जितकगु एकराड् विषयान् प्रियान् यतोपजोषं भुजानो भुञ्जानो न तृप्यत् अजितेन्द्रियः. In spite of achieving the power to control in all directions and in spite of enjoying all types of dear sense gratification as much as possible, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servants. एवम् ऐश्वर्यमत्तस्य दृप्तस्योच्छ्रितवर्तिनः कालो महान् व्यतीयाय ब्रह्मशापम् उपेयुषः. Hiranyakashipu thus passed a long time being very much proud of his opulences and transgressing the laws and regulations mentioned in the authoritative Shastras. He was therefore subjected to a curse by the four Kumaras, who were great Brahmanas. तस्योग्रदण्ड संविघ्नाः सर्वे लोकाः सपालकाः अन्यत्र लब्धा शरणाः शरणं ययोर अच्युतम्. Everyone, including the rulers of various planets, was extremely distressed because of the severe punishment inflicted upon them by Hiranyakashipu. Fearful and disturbed, unable to find any other shelter, they at last surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. तस्यै नमोऽस्तु काष्ठै काष्ठायै यत्रात्मा हरिरीश्वरः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते शान्ता सन्न्यासिनो अमलाः इति ते संयता आत्मानः समाहितो धियो मलाः उपतस्तुर्हृषिकेशं विनिद्रा वायुभोजनाः. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that direction where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated, where those purified souls in the renounced order of life, the great saintly persons, go, and from which, having gone, they never return, without sleep, fully controlling their minds and living on only their breath. The predominating deities of various planets began worshipping Hrishikesha with their meditation. तेषाम् आविर्भूतवाणी आरूपमेघ निःस्वना सन्नादयति ककुद्भः साधूनाम् अभयङ्करी. Then they appeared before them a transcendental then there appeared before them a transcendental sound vibration emanating from a personality not visible to material eyes. The voice was as grave as the sound of a cloud, and it was very encouraging, driving away all fear. मा भैष्टविभूता श्रेष्ठा सर्वेषां भद्रम् अस्तु वः मद्दर्शनं हि भूतानां सर्वश्रेयोपपत्तये ज्ञातम् एतस्य दौरात्म्यं दस्य यत् तस्य शान्तिं करिष्यामि कालं तावत् प्रतीक्षतः. The voice of the Lord vibrated as follows. O best learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to you, because my devotees, by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers, for these are certainly meant to award benedictions to all living entities. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu and shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that time. यदा देवेषु वेदेषु गोषु विप्रेषु साधुषु धर्ममये च विद्वेषः सवा आसु विनश्यति. When one is envious of the demigods who represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead of the Vedas, which gives all knowledge, of the cows, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and religious principles, and ultimately of me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he and his civilization will be vanquished without delay. निर्वैराय प्रशान्ताय निर्वैराय प्रशान्ताय स्वसुताय महात्मने प्रह्लादाय यदा द्रुह्येत् धनिष्येऽपि वरोर्जितम्. When Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlada, his own son, who is peaceful and sober and who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benedictions of Brahma. Shri Naraduvacha iti ukta lokaguruna tam pranamya divaukashaha nyava nyavartanta gatodvega menire shasuram hatam. The great sage Narada Muni continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master of everyone, thus reassured all the demigods living in the heavenly planets, they offered their respectful obeisances unto him and returned, confident that the demon Hiranyakashipu was now practically dead. तस्य दैत्यापतेः पुत्राः चत्वार परमाद्भुताः प्रह्लादो अभून् महान् तेषां गुणैर्महद् उपासकः. Hiranyakashipu had four wonderful, well-qualified sons, of whom the one named Prahlada was the best. Indeed, Prahlada was the reservoir of all transcendental qualities because he was an unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. ब्रह्मण्यशील संपन्न सत्य संदो जितेन्द्रिय आत्मवत् सर्वभूतानां एक प्रिय सुहृत्तम दाशवत् सन्नतार्यांग्रिः पितृवत् दीनवत्सलः भ्रातृवत् सदृशे स्निग्धो गुरुष्व ईश्वर भावनः विद्यार्थ रूप जन्माढ्यो मानस्तंभ विवर्जितः. The qualities of Maharaj Prahalada, the son of Hiranyakashipu, are described herein. He was completely cultured as a qualified Brahmana, having very good character and being determined to understand the absolute truth. He had full control of his senses and mind. Like the super soul, he was kind to every living entity and was the best friend of everyone. To respectable persons, he acted exactly like a menial servant. To the poor, he was like a father. To his equals, he was attached like a sympathetic brother, and he considered his teachers, spiritual masters, and older god brothers to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was completely free from unnatural pride that might have arisen from his good education, riches, beauty, aristocracy, and so on. Nodvigna chitto व्यसनेषु निःस्पृशः श्रुतेषु दृष्टेषु गुणेष्व अवस्तु दृक् दान्तेन्द्रिय प्राण शरीरधिक् सदा प्रशान्तकामो रहितासुरोऽसुरः. Although Prahlad Maharaj was born in the family of Asuras, he himself was not an Asura, but a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Unlike the other Asuras, he was never envious of Vaishnavas. He was not agitated but when put into danger, and he was neither directly nor indirectly interested in the fruit activities described in the Vedas. Indeed, he considered everything material to be useless, and therefore he was completely devoid of material desire. He always controlled his senses and life air, and being of steady intelligence and determination, he subdued all lusty desires. Yasmin mahad gunarajan grah grah गृह्यन्ते कविभिर्मुहुः न ते अधुना पिदी पिदीयन्ति पिदीयन्ते यथा भगवतीश्वरे. O King Prahlad Maharaj, good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas. As all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they also exist forever in his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. यम साधु गाता सदसि रिपवो अपि सुरा नृप प्रतिमानं प्रकुर्वन्ति किम उत्तान्ये भवादृशा. In any assembly where there are discourses about saints and devotees, O King Yudhishthira, even the enemies of the demons, namely the demigods, what to speak of you, would recite Prahlad Maharaj as an example of great devotee. गुणैर अलम असंख्यैर माहात्म्यं तस्य सूच्यते वासुदेवे भगवती यस्य नैसर्गिकीरतिः. Who could listen? Who could list the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj? He had unflinching faith in Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and unalloyed devotion to him. His attachment to Lord Krishna was natural because of his previous devotional service. Although his good qualities cannot be enumerated, they prove that he was a great soul, Mahatma. न्यष्टा क्रीडो नष्टक्रीडनको बालो जडवत् तन्मनस्तया कृष्णग्रह गृहीतात्मा न वेद जगत् ईदृशम्. From the very beginning of his childhood, Prahlad Maharaj was uninterested in childish playthings. Indeed, he gave them up altogether and remained silent and dull, being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness, he could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in the activities of sense gratification. Asina paryattan asnan sayana प्रपि प्रपिबन् प्रपिबन् ब्रुवन् नानुसन्दत्त एतानि गोविन्द परिरम्भितः. Prahlad Maharaj was always absorbed in thought of Krishna. Thus, being always embraced by the Lord, he did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, and talking, were being automatically performed. क्वचिद् रुदति वैकुण्ठ चिन्ता सबलचेतनः क्वचित् दशति तच्चिन्ताह्लाद उद्गायति क्वचित्. Because of advancement in Krishna consciousness, he sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, sometimes expressed jubilation, and sometimes sang loudly. Nadati क्वचित् उत्कण्ठो विलज्जो नृत्यति क्वचित् क्वचित् तद् भावनायुक्ता तन्मयो अनुचका अनुचकारः अनुसा अनुचकारः. Sometimes upon seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prahlad Maharaj would loudly call in full anxiety. He sometimes lost his shyness in jubilation and began dancing in ecstasy. And sometimes, being fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, he felt oneness and imitated the pastimes of the Lord. क्वचित् उत्फुल्लकस्तूष्णीम् आस्ते संस्पर्श निर्वतः अस्पन्द प्रणा प्रणयानन्द सलिलामीले सलिल अमीलितेक्षणः. Sometimes feeling the touch of Lord's lotus hands, he became spiritually jubilant and remained silent, his hair standing on end and tears gliding down from his half-closed eyes because of his love for the Lord. स उत्तमश्लोक पदारविन्दयोर् निसेवयां किञ्चिन सङ्गलब्धया तन्वन् परां निवृत्तिम् आत्मनो मुहुर् दुस्सङ्गदीनस्य मनः समं व्यदात्. Because of his association with perfect, unalloyed devotees who had nothing to do with anything material, Prahlad Maharaj constantly engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet. By seeing his bodily features when he was in perfect ecstasy, persons very poor in spiritual understanding became purified. In other words, Prahlad Maharaj bestowed upon them transcendental bliss. तस्मिन् महाभागवते महाभागे महात्मनि हिरण्यकशिपु राजन् अकरोत् अघम् आत्मजे. My dear King Yudhishthira, the demon Hiranyakashipu tormented this exalted, fortunate devotee, although Prahlada was his own son. Shri Yudhishthiravacha Devarshit Eta Ichhamo Viditum Tava Suvrata Yad Atmajaya Suddhaya Pita Dat Sadavehi Agam. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, O best of the saints among the demigods, O best of the spiritual leaders, how did Hiranyakashipu give so much trouble to Prahlad Maharaj, the pure and exalted saint, although Prahlada was his own son? I wish to know about this subject from you. Putran vipratikulan swan pitarah putra vatsalaha upala bande sikshartham naivagham aparoyata. A father and mother are always affectionate to their children. When the children are disobedient, the parents chastise them, not due to enmity, but only for the child's instructions and welfare. How did Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, chastise such a noble son? This is what I am eager to know. Kim utanu vasan साधून् तादृशान् गुरुदेवतान् एतत् कौतूहलं ब्रह्मन् अस्माकं विदम प्रभो पुतुः पितुः पुत्राय यद्वेषो मरणाय प्रयोजितः. Mara Yudhishthir further inquired, how was it possible for a father to be so violent toward an exalted son who was obedient, well behaved, and respectful to his father? O Brahmana, O Master, I have never heard of such a contradiction as an affectionate father's punishing his own son with the intention of killing him. Kindly dissipate our doubts in this regard. Hare Krishna. So today we have covered the translations. Tomorrow we will cover through the yeah, summary or commentaries of Prabhupada. There are so many wonderful topics that are covered in this already that Hiranyakashipu became very blind uh, towards what he was doing and where it can lead to, even to the extent that he even didn't care whether whether he was his son or not. He was ready to kill if someone is worshipper of Lord Vishnu. Yeah, this is what we will cover tomorrow. Thank you. Okay. पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. रंद्राज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद. हरे कृष्ण.